Today we are going to review how my future-proof weekly spread worked, and we are going to apply everything that I learned during that week to my new weekly spreads, and I will prepare all of my spreads for the rest of October. Welcome back to Bullet Journaling with Eve, and as we always do, we are going to start with materials. You will need a bullet journal, then I will use this Ohuhu acrylic marker in metallic mint color for all the details. Then I will use this dark green dual tip marker, and of course I will use these two UniPin point liners in 0.2 and 0.05 size. Next, I will use these aquarelle pencils from Faber-Castell for decorations, a ruler, and the star of this video are these scissors, because we will prepare some Dutch doors. Including Dutch doors in your spreads make them faster and much more easier to decorate. I will also use a pencil, an eraser and some washi tape and a corner cutter as well. I will prepare everything, and now let's look back at the previous week. As I mentioned here on Sunday, I am always planning my next week ahead and reviewing the previous week. When we look back at Wednesday, because this month started on Wednesday, I skipped learning vocabulary, but I pushed that on Thursday. And I was able to do that on Thursday because I was able to do everything else I had planned for that week before. And I also took a walk that made me feel better. This is something that I had in my scenario playbook for Friday, but it worked on Thursday as well. Then we will look at Friday. I wrote down that I should prepare related content for my videos during the week and not leave it for Friday. And the reason for that is that I usually wait for my video to go online and then I prepare the related content because I want to link my new video to my shorts. I also don't reuse my video footage, but I always film new content for my shorts. So that is another reason why it takes time to prepare those as well. Now, let's look at the next week. On my left side, I have my core categories, and I will create Dutch doors. And at the last page, I will add trigger points, and here you can see that I have scenario playbook as well, just like I had in my previous week. I will start with cutting out the pages. I have my Dutch doors ready. I divided my page vertically into thirds, and I'm cutting 1/3 out, and 2/3 are going to be used for my daily logs. Then I will also erase all the pencil marks that I had here before I even decorate my spreads, because I want them to use my pencils for decorating and I don't want to smudge that color. But now you can see that I'm done with creating these Dutch doors. I have these little tabs that are nice and rounded, and now it's time to start with my weekly spreads. The first thing that I will focus on now will be decorating my spread. And I will do all the same things that I did here in my previous weekly spread. I added all the same core categories and I will write them down with this green marker. Then the subtitles. All the subtitles on this page are going to be written with 0.2 UniPin point liner, and these small tasks and scenarios are going to be written with the 0.05 UniPin point liner. Everything is going to be the same as it was in my previous weekly spread because this worked. This literally works, so why shouldn't I use that when it works? I will speed up this part of the video because I will just write down things so you take your coffee or tea, sit comfortably, and just enjoy this little speed up part. I'm doing everything the same as I mentioned before. If you are looking for 3 categories to focus on, do the Wheel of Life. I will link that video here if you don't know what the Wheel of Life is. But that will tell you what you need to focus on. I did my Wheel of Life on the 1st of October and I found out that I need to focus on health and English. And because I need to work to get my income, I also need to include that as well. Even when work is high on my Wheel of Life list. I'm making 8 spaces for each weekly spread. 7 of them are used for my daily logs and 1 of them is used for my weekly actions. Weekly actions are something that you don't need to include in your weekly spreads. This is just something that I really like to include in my weekly spreads because when I include them with my other trackers instead of my weekly spreads, I sometimes forget to do them and to mark things that I have done. But when I open my bullet journal and I'm writing the task for that day, or I am looking back at that day, I can see my weekly actions there, and if I did some of them, I will just mark it right there by filling the little circle, and the weekly action is then marked as done. While I am talking, you can see that this part is sped up completely and that I'm working really fast. And also you can see that there are some changes of lights because it's autumn already and it's getting darker much sooner. Even when I have this ring light that I think is really great, I still think that you can see these differences. I decided to finish that last part, that last weekly spread later on, because there are some changes in light. So I will film this and post it as a shorts. Stay tuned for that as well. Now let's see what we have here. On each page I have 7 daily logs and 1 space for my weekly actions. And now I want to show you how I plan this week. First of all, I will write all the things that are set. So on Mondays I teach from 8 to 12:30. Then we usually have a meeting going on. I will write that down and then I have my class with my students that are focused on chemistry competitions, and then I also included things that are important for me. So at least one thing that is related to health and at least one thing that is related to English learning. So for each day I look back at my previous week and what I wrote down there, that one tweak for next week, and I will include that in planning my next week. Maybe you will find out that you don't need to do this throughout the year. Maybe it's enough for you to just do it for 1 month and find what are the things that you need to focus on. Here I decided to do this for 1 month and I will find out if that was enough for me or I need to focus on it even more. When you look here, I prepared 4 weekly spreads. With touch doors, I really like how these little tabs are shiny and nice. And if you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like it and subscribe if you're not subscribed yet. And press the notification bell so you never miss any of my future videos. And I will see you in the next one where we will plan my November monthly setup together. Bye!